Okay, so this is Matthew Rhodes, and I'm joined by Matlock Town's Assistant Manager Dave Wild. Dave, first of all, how are you today?
Yeah, I'm all right, mate. Obviously, we've had some good news yesterday. It feels like we're getting back to a little bit of normality. So I'm getting there slowly. It's just want football back, don't we?
I do. I remember about 12 months ago, we were talking about how much Belarusian football I think you were watching online, because that was one of the few nations still playing football at that time. That feels like a long time ago now.
The team that I picked to back got relegated.
All right.
So less said the better about that.
All right. I'll not come to you for any Belarusian football tips then.
Oh, yeah.
So we've got a bit of Matlock Town news that came about within the last 24 hours. So the club have signed a winger called Jesurun Uchegbulam. I understand that you've worked with Jesurun before earlier in your career. How do you know Jez?
Yeah, so at one of my previous jobs, I was like on one of these BTEC programs for Stockport Town, my old club, or one of my previous clubs. Jez was one of the students on the first intake, and that's obviously where I've met him and the relationship formed. I took him in at Stockport Town as a 16-year-old in the first team, just really as a bit of raw talent from the academy, and he just took to it like a duck to water. He's got unquestionable talent, but in terms of what he did in his early sort of stages in the Northwest Counties, one was it was frightening, to be honest. I think he come in, he played 10 games, scored 12 assists, something like that as a 16-year-old. So there was quite a lot of hype and sort of local interest in him, which I don't think helped him at the time because he was so young. At 16, I think the world's at your feet and you're only playing in the counties one. Well, not only playing in it, but there's many more levels to go for in terms of where he wants to head. So so that's sort of where it began with him. I obviously got the Mosley job the following season, and he was one of the first lads I took over with me. He didn't make it straight away with the first team. He had to mature and sort of develop and improve his team game as opposed to his individual skill, which he did. And then from there, he was, without question, one of Mosley's most important players from sort of 18 to 20. So I think it's natural progress for him to come and step up to step 3. And I've got absolutely no doubts, and Philo's the same, otherwise we wouldn't have signed him, that it'll be a genuine success for us.
Okay, and obviously Matlock Town fans haven't been able to see any competitive football from the lads for quite some time, so they'll be hungry to see the players out there on the pitch. For anyone, for any fans that won't have seen Jez play before, what kind of player is he? What will he bring to Matlock, and what kind of attributes will he bring to the pitch?
I think he's got so many that it's difficult to sort of pinpoint what his main threat is. I think one of the big things for us is that he's unbelievably direct. He's pacey, he's powerful, and he's just very, very aggressive on the front foot. He wants to sort of run at players. He wants to, push teams back into their own final third, and he wants to score and create goals. And I think the best way for me to describe him is every time he gets the ball in the opposition half, he'll make a dugout sit on the edge of its seat. He's exciting. He's still got raw talent. There's still a lot to work and to improve on him. But he's a very, very exciting prospect. So, like you say, I think the main thing for him really is he's got like a ridiculous pace. We had a training session with him at Mosley, and I ended up with a long ball trying to get anywhere near him, and he ended up at the touchline before I'd even broke stride. So he's lightning quick, but there's a lot more to his game, and as he's matured and developed, he's filled out. He's a lot stronger now. He's back to goal plays a lot better, and his general understanding of the team aspect of the game has improved dramatically, which is why it's the right time for him to step.
Okay, and as I said before, obviously, for obvious reasons, we've not seen much football at all at the level that Matlock Town play at. So obviously it's been a long time since you've been able to see these players in the squad playing competitive football. But how are things shaping up for the season ahead? Because I understand, well, knowing you as well as I do, you're up pretty much 24 hours of the day getting things planned. So are there any other things sort of like on the horizon for Matlock that you're able to tell us at the moment, or you're still having to keep your cards close to your chest?
In terms of players or new players or players leaving, obviously, sort of keep that to our chest at the moment. It's still ridiculously early. The only reason we've announced Jez is because it's a contract. So in terms of sort of non-contract aspect to the squad, we're not going to be making any comment on that for a month or so, because it just comes back to bite you on the backside, as I'm sure you've seen yourself in the past with Matlock and other clubs. So in terms of sort of the plan and prep, we're in a good place. Like you say, you know me, I'm a bit relentless with it. So everything's in place. We've been having multiple Zoom meetings and, a lot of individual chats with the squad from last season. And we've got, like injury prevention sessions planned. And, it's going to be a very different pre-season this year, in the sense of lads haven't played competitive football for 12 months. So I think a lot of it's going to have to be baby steps and protecting bodies and making sure that we're not sort of beating people into the ground and breaking bodies down. It's going to be a long, strange season for everyone. And I think that, we need to do the right thing by our players and make sure that the bodies are in the right position and the right place come, things like the Christmas period and the New Year calendar, because, as you know yourself, that's where sort of promotions and title pushes are won and lost. So, I think if we can get ourselves in and around at that period, what we're planning to do for the pre-season will come to fruition and hopefully see us through to a strong end. That's the sort of mindset we're having this year. We're having to think about it a little bit differently, a little bit more in depth than maybe we would do normally at this level. But it's enjoyable, and it's a good test for myself, for Philo, the staff. It's always good to be put into different circumstances. So it's we're looking forward to it. Yeah,
no, I know a few teams around Matlock's level, so around sort of step 3 of non-league footy, sort of doing their own things, because I know some teams in Matlock's division have already played a couple of games, albeit I still think at this moment it'd be behind closed doors. But I know there's a couple of games that are on next week where fans will actually be able to attend in some numbers at least. But I know that Matlock aren't sort of going down that road. Well, as far as I know, aren't going down that road just at the moment. You're actually waiting. So do you think how important do you think it is just to make sure that you get this pre-season right for the competitive season, say like when you get to like the busy Christmas, New Year bit, when there's weather postponements, which undoubtedly there always will be, and you get like about 3 games a week? How important is it to make sure that you get this pre-season right so that the players aren't too tired come around like the midway point of the season?
Of course, well, like I say, it's imperative for me this year more than, well, it is anyway, but even more so this year. I just think I understand why clubs are playing games and each to their own. Listen, I'm involved at Matlock, so whatever anyone else wants to do, good luck to them. But in terms of ourselves, we just don't. We had a chat about it, and we had a couple of games that had potential that we could have played, but it just wasn't for us. We're struggling to see what the benefits will be of putting lads into a competitive, a friendly fixture, but ultimately it's going to end up competitive because of the nature of non-league football and the fact that there's not been any games for so long. I just think you're running a needless risk of, injury breakdown, muscular breakdown, people playing on adrenaline and not really looking after the bodies sensibly like you would do if a season was coming. So we're just trying to do things as professionally as we can, with as much common sense as we can, and just sort of take baby steps. It's like I said earlier, it's a completely new situation and scenario for absolutely everyone, and how every manager across the country, from Conference North to Northwest Counties 1, how they deal with it is each to their own, like I say, because no one's been in this position before, so everyone's new. it's a fresh challenge for everyone, and that's just the way we're going about it. We planned our actual pre-season fixtures, but we want to do 3, maybe 4 sessions before the proper pre-season in terms of a proper injury rehabilitation, injury prevention, good strength and conditioning stuff, and just get things in place as much as we can before we start sort of building the different cardiovascular vascular levels. So that's how we're approaching it. Nothing's to say we're right and nothing's to say anyone else is wrong.
Cool. And well, just the last thing really, because obviously it's been we've spoken about it loads of times before, but obviously the last 15 months or so has obviously been very, very strange, obviously, at this level of football as well. But what will it be like, sort of like, as we finally go back to your proper pre-season friendlies and then finally the competitive season? And what sort of message do you have for the Matlock Town fans? Because obviously it's quite weird that you've been involved at the club for a little while now, but you've still not actually had that many games in front of the Matlock fans. So what sort of message do you have for them as well, all being well, if this roadmap goes to plan, they should be allowed no limits on crowds by the time we reach into August. What message do you have for the Matlock fans?
We just, one thing that we guarantee, Philo as manager and the rest of us, you're just going to have a hard-working side who give their all. They play for the town, play for the badge, play for the club. And absolutely everyone that's in the camp will be there because they want to progress. They want to push the club higher. They want to have a promotion push, whether that be a title push, a playoff push. We're not a club that is there to make up numbers, and that's no disrespect to the previous management or the previous scenarios or the previous regimes at the club, but we're hungry as a group to push the club into a higher level of football. And every manager and every coach or whatever, everyone will say at the start of the season, yeah, we want to win the league. We want to win the league. I'm never ever going to sit here and tell you, I'll be really happy with a 19th place finish. It's not how we do things. So you'll see an exciting, hard-working and committed, dedicated group of men who want to genuinely push the town's football club forward, because it's got all the key attributes needed to be a club at a higher level. So it's about how we recruit, how we prepare, how we plan, and how we execute everything that we need to do. So just stay behind us, trust us, and we won't be far off. We'll get things right more than we get it wrong. And I know that's quite a bold statement, but I truly believe that we've got the right group in place.